Hi, guys. Good evening, and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I will be discussing what I thought of the latest episode of the Hulu horror anthology series, Into the Dark. Yesterday was the first Friday of the month, which means we got a brand new episode from Into the Dark. Obviously, this time of year, it was Christmas themed, and this title of this particular episode was called Pooka, which saw the story of a struggling actor who took a job as a character performer for the hot-selling toy of the Christmas season, Pooka, but it had deadly consequences. Now, before I get into this review, of course, please be warned that this is a spoiler-filled episode review. If you haven't watched this particular episode of Into the Dark, do not keep watching or listening, as I will be discussing spoilers. That being said, spoilers from here on out starting now. The first two episodes of Into the Dark were both good, very enjoyable, but it felt like they were missing something. They were missing this creepy, supernatural, monstrous element, and I feel like Pooka brought that. Like, it had this definitely super creepy, really scary looking supernatural element to the whole story, to this episode. And I mean, there's something scary about somebody putting on a costume or a mask, and then it's like having an entirely new personality or embodying this character that regularly transitions between good and evil, nice or naughty, and then having unintended, severe, deadly consequences. So I thought that was an interesting premise. The only problem I had with this episode is that it started off strong, it was pretty good in the middle, and then towards the end, up until the final scene, it got very confusing. Like, it was very hard to follow. Like, you weren't sure what was real and what was really happening and what wasn't happening. And, excuse me, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I've read a couple of reviews online. It seems like people are on the same page I am, where, well, first of all, either they hated the whole thing completely or they liked parts of it, but they were confused by the rest of it, which is how I feel about it. From what I could tell, after I watched this episode, the lead guy, the guy who played Wilson, our main character, was having a fight with his wife during the holiday season, to the extent where he broke a Christmas tree and then got his wife and son in the car and drove way too fast to a Christmas tree lot, got into a fatal car accident where both his wife and son were killed. And then so were the two women whom they had hit, one of them being his kind neighbor from down the hall, in this reality or this fantasy nightmare scenario that he came up with. I think it was his way of trying to stomach and deal with what just happened to his family by creating this alternate reality or this fantasy scenario where he was a struggling actor who got hired by a toy company to play a character that was a hot-selling toy during the Christmas season, met a nice single mom with a young son, and then things slowly go to hell from there. And I feel like that was him watching. It was kind of like A Christmas Carol with like Ebenezer Scrooge and one of the ghosts. In this case, one of the ghosts being the Pooka, the demon Pooka, or monster, whatever you want to call him. And he's watching this accident unfold, and I think what he's watching is what really happened, what really occurred, and he's having literally an out-of-body experience. And the out-of-body experience is the one who is living the life as a struggling actor who got hired to play Pooka and all that jazz. I think that's how it happened. At least that's how I'm translating it as. Like I said, this episode wasn't perfect. It definitely did not show a development or a growth between Wilson and Melanie, the two our leading man and leading lady. Like, it was clearly established, a relationship developed between the two of them, but it didn't really show much growth or development. It was just more like glossed over, touched upon. But it wasn't an emphasis of the story, which I feel like was a bit of a mistake. But like I said, what I did enjoy was this creepy supernatural element to it where we have this unknown force or this monster, this evil embodiment that overpowered Wilson and made him, and basically Wilson turned into Pooka, and Pooka became like half his life or like a good chunk of his life. And that costume and toy were scary looking, super scary, super creepy, and the eyes that turn blue when he's all nice and then go red when he becomes evil, and then the change in voice as well, like Wilson. That was scary. That was super creepy. But I liked it. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like if Into the Dark moving forward with these holiday horror stories have more of a supernatural element or a subplot to them, they'll be a lot more engaging. They just need clearer storytelling. But then again, that's just one man's opinion. I mean, other people could feel like this was the best episode yet, or maybe they thought it was a hot, steaming pile of garbage. I don't know. My opinion was I enjoyed parts of it, but there were some parts of it that were also confusing. But I did enjoy, however, this feel of holiday horror with a creepy supernatural element to it, with a clearly evil, sinister force during what's supposed to be a jolly, cheerful time of year, and it's just so contradicted with this embodiment of evil, and it's like carnage incarnate. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. I really liked the Pooka costume, and I liked the character as a toy and as this embodiment that overtook this poor man. So, I liked it. It wasn't my favorite episode. I think I liked the first 2 episodes more than this one. But I enjoyed it, and I'll keep watching this series because I'm very curious to see what other stories they have to tell with other upcoming holidays. So what did you guys think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you expecting more, expecting less? Please feel free to leave your thoughts, opinions, and your feedback down below in the comments section. I'd love to hear